DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is anxiety versus anticipation. Before we get into this, I remind you of two things. First of all, my daily motivation, Monday motivation text message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week, respectively. All you got to do to be in my text community, it is free to join. Just text me at the following number, 305-384-6894. And once we get those messages going again, you'll get a message from my bot to let you know that it's coming. Then you'll be getting messages directly from me that are going to do exactly what I just told you they're going to do. So just text me at that number right there. So when we start sending that again, you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to do anything except open your text messages in the morning and get those messages. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where I do all my coaching. If you would like to have me as your direct coach, if you like to get access to all of our trainings, courses, programs, and systems inside of Work on Your Game University, and we have a lot of material. All right, you see how much stuff I put out here for free? All right, imagine the stuff that we have in the back end of our university. All of that you get access to when you become a member of Work on Your Game University. You can do so, learn more, and get started with us by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is, where do you think that link is? Down below in the description in this episode. Secondly, that is segment. So now let's get into the topic. Thirdly, let's get into the topic, which is anxiety versus anticipation. Now, this masterclass is about two different versions of the exact same energy. Okay, these are the same energy. We just label it in different ways, depending on our framing of the situation at hand. It is the exact same feeling, just a matter of how we choose to look at it and for what reasons that we're choosing what we are choosing. The good news about this is we can choose the labels that we put on things and how we choose to look at things anytime that we want, which means you have control over whether you are feeling anxious versus feeling anticipatory. Just listening to those words alone, you probably have two different ideas of what they mean, right? Even though they're the same energy. The problem that many people have is that we don't take conscious control over this process. But what I'm going to do here today is help you move towards taking conscious control of the process, because I'm going to move it to the forefront of your brains so that you can take more conscious control of it. Because if you're not consciously aware of something, then you're probably, you definitely are unqualified to take control of it, because you're not even aware of what's going on. So the first step to taking conscious control of anything, folks, is awareness. You have to become aware of things. And when your awareness is higher, then you are more capable of taking control of things. I talked about raising your awareness back in episode number 2879. If you had not heard that one. Also, episode 2105, how to raise your self-awareness. Episode 2081, how to become aware of your own ignorance. Back in episode 263, we talked about stepping up your self-awareness. So we talked about awareness a few times here on the show. If you didn't know about it, now you know. And by the way, you want to listen to any episode in the history of the show, just go to workonyourgamepodcast.com. Workonyourgamepodcast.com. That's where every episode in the history of the show is right there on one page. You can load up any episode and listen to it right there, audio version right there on the page. In the future, we're going to try to create a page where we can put all the videos up too. Videos tend to take up a lot more bandwidth. So we'll have to figure out the process of making that work, but it's coming. Trust me. There's probably some AI software somebody's working on right now that'll do it for us. So maybe we'll wait for that without us having to do it manually. But either way, it's coming. So stay tuned. Let's get into point number one. The topic, once again, is anxiety versus anticipation. Number one, anxiety. Definition of anxiety is a state of uneasiness and apprehension as about future uncertainties. I want you to take very close note of these definitions. I'm going to talk about anticipation in the next point, but listen to this definition again of anxiety. A state of uneasiness and apprehension as about future uncertainties. That's what anxiety is. Anxiety, folks, is a form of worry. That's what it is. The unease and apprehension about the future is also known as worry, if you want to put it into simple terms. Anxiety is worrying, is a present day down payment on future negative energy. That's what anxiety is. It means you are putting, everybody knows what a down payment is, right? Down payment is you put a little bit of money down now, or a little bit meaning relative to the total price. Put a little bit down now and then you pay over time. So if you buy a car, many times when people buy cars, they don't pay the whole amount up front. So if the car is $30,000, you might put $1,000 down now and then you pay $300 a month for the next 60 months and plus interest and whatever it is you end up paying in order to own your car. All right, that's what anxiety is. You're putting $1,000 down now, and then every month for the future, while you worry about the future, you just pay a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. That's what anxiety is. If you look at it that way, you probably would not be as anxious as often. You'll probably worry a lot less. As a matter of fact, I have a book called 25 Reasons to Quit Worrying. If you didn't know about it, you can get that book by going to workonmygame.com/worry. Workonmygame.com/worry. That's where you can get my book, 25 Reasons to Quit Worrying. Or you can go, let me check that link, make sure I'm not giving you all a bad link. And you can also go to workonyourgame.com/books. But let me make sure. It's workonmygame.com/ I haven't given this link out in some time, so make sure my links are right. I don't want to give you a bad link and you can't go get the book. So yes, workonmygame.com/worry. That's where you can get my book. Again, it's called 25 Reasons to Quit Worrying. You can get that book right now. Physically shipped to you. You can get the digital version or the audio version. We got all three. So anxiety, again, you're putting a down payment on future negative energy. In other words, you're paying for negative energy now that you're not even feeling yet, but you are starting to feel it because you just made payment. Everybody understand this? All right, 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. All right, what is it costing you when you're worrying now about something that didn't even happen yet? All 5. You're paying all 5, folks. All right, anxiety is not very productive and is also not very useful. You are robbing yourself of the pleasure of the present moment by feeling negative energy about a future thing that has not yet occurred. Whether it actually occurs or not, you're still robbing yourself of the pleasure of the present moment because the thing that you're worrying about didn't happen yet. So whether it's going to happen tomorrow or it's not going to happen tomorrow, you feeling bad about it today doesn't do anything about what's going to happen tomorrow, does it? Do you know something I don't know? See, when we're thinking about something unwanted that is going to happen in the future, we could just as easily take that same mental energy and apply it towards maybe doing something in the present that could keep that negative thing from even happening, or to better prepare ourselves to deal with that negative thing if it's inevitable, if it's going to happen anyway. So if you know it's going to be a thunderstorm tomorrow, even though you were planning on having a picnic outside, all right, you could spend all day today where it's sunny and warm worrying about the fact that it's going to rain tomorrow, it's going to mess up your plans. Or you could spend all day today, at least enjoying today, since you know that tomorrow you won't be able to hang outside because it's going to be raining. All right, you could do that. That's a choice. Question is, what choice are you taking? What option are you choosing in these moments? You could do something in the present that, again, could either keep the negative thing from happening if it's something that you can control. The weather is not one of those things you can control. And if it's something that you can't control, then at least bracing yourself to deal with it. All right, Louis Seneca talked about this in a book called Letters from a Stoic, that the situation that we anticipated is better handled than the one that we did not anticipate. In other words, when you know something is going to happen and you're mentally prepared for it, you deal with it better than when you don't know something's going to happen and it smacks you upside the head unexpectedly. We can better deal with the punch that we see coming than the punch that we don't see coming. See, the punch that knocks you out is the one that you didn't see. Not the one that you see is just hit you so hard that it knocks you down. So if you see it coming, you can get ready for it. But if you don't see it coming, then that one surprises you. It doesn't have to be that hard. So anxiety, again, we can just as easily transmute that energy into doing something to prepare for whatever we think is coming in the future, or maybe to stop whatever is coming in the future from even happening. We can stop the future before the future occurs. Anxiety, when we just feel anxious about a situation, and we just do that, we just feel anxious because we know it's coming, we just sit there and wait for it to come get us. That just makes the situation bigger and more potent in our minds, which weakens us, and it makes us less capable of being able to handle it, because the more you focus on anything, the larger that it gets. And if we focus on something negative that just robs you of any initiative, any power, any energy that you could have to do something about the situation. So anxiety is not a very useful energy in this way if we just sit there and allow ourselves to dwell on it. If, on the other hand, we feel that anxiety, identify it, and acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling anxious because, and then we go do something about it, now we're putting ourselves in a position of power. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is anxiety versus anticipation. Number 2. Anticipation is to regard as probable, also to expect or predict. Let me say that definition again of the word anticipation. To regard as probable, also to expect or predict. So if you notice, the definition of anticipation is pretty similar to the definition of anxiety, with one exception, is that anticipation doesn't mention something to be positive or negative. See, anxiety is usually about something negative that we're expecting, whereas anticipation is just we're expecting something, period. It doesn't say whether it's positive or negative. See, this is usually when we use the word anticipation socially, what do we usually mean? We usually mean something that we're expecting that's good, something we're expecting that we want, that we can deal with, that we already have an idea of what we're going to do. That's why we're anticipating it, because we already got a plan in our heads for how this is going to go. We usually use the term anticipate more when we're thinking about something that we want. All right, just like anxiety, the thing hasn't happened yet, so we're still thinking about the future, and at least we think it's coming in the future. The difference is we have positive thoughts about the future when we're anticipating. Anticipation usually is a positive thought for the future, whereas anxiety is a negative thought for the future. Or at least, again, we feel empowered that we can handle what's coming, even if we don't quite know exactly how or when, or we don't completely control it. So knowing that we can handle what's coming in the future is a form of, again, anticipation. You could even expect someone to do something that you don't want. But if you know you're prepared to deal with it, you can anticipate their behavior. All right, you won't feel that anxious about it. If I know you're going to do something that I don't want you to do, something that is going to be at least potentially detrimental to me, but I know how I'm going to handle it and or handle you and or handle myself. All right, I can still anticipate it. All right, I know you're going to do that. And I know you probably shouldn't do that. And I know you're doing it in order to mess up what I got going on. But I have a response for you, whatever it is you're going to do. I'm good. All right, so if I know you're going to try to steal some of our patented technology from my company, but I already got my lawyers on top of it and I already documented everything and I know I'm going to take you to court and sue you, then all right, I'm anticipating your behavior. All right, but I'm feeling good about it because I know what I'm going to do. See, that's anticipation. I feel good about the situation, even though it's something that I don't want. Now, I would feel anxious if I'm thinking you're going to do something, but I don't know what I can do about it, or I don't know if I can do anything about it. Again, same situation, different energies, different labels for different reasons based on how we prepared ourselves for the situation that's coming. In sports, for example, you'll hear athletes sometimes talk about this, or people describing athletes and talk about how some athletes are really good at anticipating the moves of their opponents. Any of you knows anything about combat sports, or any of you done any combat sports, a really good combat sport fighter can anticipate the movements of their opponent before their opponent even does it. I watch a lot of boxing videos. I watch somebody like Floyd Mayweather, who's regarded as one of the best boxers out there. His instincts are really, really sharp. One of the best instinctive fighters there's ever been out there, in such a way that he can. It's almost as if he sees what his opponent is going to try to do before his opponent even does it. And I watch some of Floyd's fights, and even in slow motion, you can see that his opponent is just about to throw a punch. And Floyd, either before that punch comes, what Floyd will do is either move out of the way so that the opponent, who may be even regarded as a pretty fast puncher, Floyd's out of there before their punch even gets close to hitting him, or Floyd will hit them before their punch even gets to Floyd. He'll hit them and move out the way so they get hit and then miss their punch, and then Floyd's out of there and they can't hit, and it becomes a really frustrating experience for a lot of fighters. So if you watch any of the Floyd's fights, and a lot of his fights would go the distance, as he wasn't really at least during the back half of his career, wasn't really a knockout type of puncher. So his fights would go the whole distance, but you basically get a lesson in reflexes and anticipation with the guy, because it was almost like he was reading his opponent's mind. He could see what they were thinking about doing before they even did it, and he was fast enough to hit them, move out of the way, and not get hit. He would do it over and over again over the course of a fight. It became, again, a very frustrating thing for the fighter he was going against, but very entertaining for those of us who were watching it because he was just, at least if you were cheering for Floyd, let's say. The whole point is he was just very anticipatory of what his opponent was doing. This happens also in basketball, a sport that I know well, is that when you have a lot of experience and your opponent doesn't, even if they have more physical tools than you can anticipate what they're going to do, and you can be there before they get there, or stop their move before they even get to the move. And they may be frustrated because they're like, I know I'm physically bigger, stronger, faster than this guy. How is he beating me? It's because they're reading your mind. They can see what you're doing before you're doing it. And that anticipation makes you look like a genius, even if you aren't quite one. It's the same thing in the business world. All right? When you know what's going to happen because you've seen it before, or because you prepared yourself, again, you can look clairvoyant, even though you're not really. You just did more preparatory work than the other guy did. And again, this applies in all areas. So you won't feel anxious about a situation when you know you can do something about the situation. And the more things that you've seen, the more things you know you can do something about, usually, assuming that you've learned from your experiences. So the feeling that we have when we know we can handle what's coming, we call that anticipation. And the feeling we have when we don't know we can handle what's coming, we usually call that anxiety. It's usually the only difference between the two. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is anxiety versus anticipation. Here's the key. As I said in the intro, these are just labels that we use as different ways of looking at the exact same situation. It's the exact same energy, same situations, as different labels for different reasons. And I just told you the reason. How prepared are you? Both of them are based on a future situation that may or may not actually occur. The only difference is how we are choosing to look at that expected future situation. That's the only difference. You would just as easily expect a positive outcome as you expect a negative outcome. All right, what's the difference between you expecting positive and expecting negative? Generally, the answer is nothing. You can expect whatever you want. Now, whether that's actually going to happen doesn't have a ton to do with your expectation. That all we're talking about is expectation. A serious expectation, as you've heard me say, is followed by action. But just the thought alone doesn't really affect the outcome, not much. Now, your actions affect the outcome a lot. But we could easily think positive or negative about something that's coming in the future. So just as easily you could believe that you'll be able to handle something, and even if you're not quite sure how, then you could believe that you won't be able to handle a situation. Again, you have the choice in how to think. Question is, which one will put you in a better mental state? Which one prepares you better to deal with what's coming? And which one usually leads to better outcomes in the long run? You have enough life experience to answer this question yourself. Which one helps you more, anxiety or anticipation? The second key to all of this is how we are mentally conditioned, because we won't always have time to do all of this thinking as life is occurring, because life can happen pretty rapidly at different points in our lives. You aren't going to have time to do all this thinking. I've been talking for the last 17 minutes here. You won't have all this time to think about stuff when things are happening and they're coming at you one after another, which means the mental conditioning, the homework that you have done before this situations occur, that's what really is going to show itself when things start happening rapid fire. Everybody understand? So when you are mentally conditioned to believe that you can handle anything that comes your way, which means you're conditioning yourself to think this way even when nothing is going on in your life. Even so, then when something is going on, you're already prepared mentally for it because you already got yourself ready. It's kind of like a person who works out every day to stay in shape, not because you're getting ready for a competition, but then the one day when you need to use your body's ready because you've been preparing it by exercising every day. So you can't wait till the situation comes to get ready. See, the professional is always prepared ahead of time. Hallmark of a professional, folks, is the preparation, is that they're always ready before the situation. They don't wait until the situation occurs to get ready. But if you have not done the conscious work on this, mental conditioning, then you tend to default towards anxiety because you have no reason to anticipate because you don't know what you're going to do. You have not set yourself up to anticipate because you haven't done the homework. So you've done the homework, you feel good about the test. I'm going to give you a hint to let you know that most people default towards anxiety because most people have not done the mental work. They have not done the homework. They have not prepared themselves, and they show up unprepared for a situation, or a situation shows up and catches them unprepared. That's usually what happens. This is why bulletproof mindset is the mental framework that I'm referring to that I give people. Is the first thing you get when you come into work on your game university is we make sure we get the mindset in place. I don't care what it is you're trying to do. Are you trying to go from making $100,000 a year to $1,000,000 a year? There's a mindset shift that occurs in that. You're trying to go from having no business to having a business. There's a mindset shift there. You're selling your product, but it's not selling enough. And we need to get the sales up. You need to do a better job of marketing and getting to the right people. There's a mindset shift that goes underneath the actions. And we get the mindset in first as the foundation. We build everything else on top of that. That said, let's recap today's class, which is anxiety versus anticipation. This is about two different versions of the exact same energy. Again, just two different labels for two different reasons. Point number one, anxiety is a state of uneasiness and apprehension as about a future uncertainty. It is a form of worry. It is a present day down payment on future negative energy, which again robs you of the happiness of the current situation because you are feeling bad about what might happen in the future. And again, it didn't even happen yet. Point number two, anticipation is to regard as probable, to expect or predict. This is usually with regard to positive things. Usually we anticipate things when it's something that we want or something that we are looking forward to having. And again, anticipation is usually has something to do with a positive thought, and is usually the reason we think positive about a thing because we are prepared for it and we know what we're going to do if and when it happens. So point number three, the key is that these two labels are, again, different ways of looking at the exact same energy. They are based on future situations that may or may not actually occur. The only difference is how we are looking at them and how we expect to deal with them in the future. The question is, which one puts you in a better mental state and which one better prepares you to deal with what's coming, and which one usually leads to a better outcome in the long run? In your own experience, you have an answer to that question. When you are mentally conditioned and you are prepared in whatever way to handle whatever is coming your way, usually we anticipate things because we know we'll be able to handle it. Now, if we don't think we'll be able to handle it, then we're anxious and worried and fearful about the situation. Which one has better served you in your life experience? Again, bulletproof mindset framework inside of Work on Your Game University will help you get this nailed down to a science so that we can build on top of that all the strategies, the action plans, the systems, and then the accountability for implementation. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com if you'd like to have me as your direct coach. We can get to work on this ASAP. Work on your game. Dre